Welcome, seeker of insight, to a unique journey with Ocean of Mind. In a world ever-changing, full of choices and challenges, the timeless wisdom of Zen and Buddhist stories offers not just solace, but profound clarity. Tonight, we delve into ancient tales, not as mere fables from a distant past, but as mirrors reflecting our modern lives. Each narrative, a gentle beacon, illuminating paths through today's complexities. We will discover how the quiet teachings of old masters can guide our reactions to stress, our pursuit of peace, and our understanding of everyday joys and sorrows. Prepare to connect the profound simplicity of Zen with the intricate tapestry of your own experiences. There is nothing to force, nothing to achieve. Simply listen and allow these stories to unfold within your heart. Let us begin with our first story. This is the story of the farmer, the horse, and the windfall. In a small village, lived an old farmer known for his calm demeanor and his peculiar habit of responding to every event with the same quiet phrase, "Maybe so, maybe not." One day, his only horse, a magnificent and strong animal, ran away. The villagers gathered, lamenting his misfortune. "Oh, what bad luck," they said. The farmer simply replied, "Maybe so, maybe not." A few days later, the runaway horse returned, bringing with it 3 wild horses. The villagers rejoiced. "What wonderful good fortune," they exclaimed. The farmer again replied, "Maybe so, maybe not." The next day, the farmer's son attempted to break in one of the wild horses. He was thrown and broke his leg. The villagers again gathered, offering their sympathy. "What terrible bad luck," they cried. The farmer, tending to his son, calmly responded, "Maybe so, maybe not." A week passed, and the emperor's army came through the village, recruiting all able-bodied young men for a distant war. They bypassed the farmer's son due to his broken leg. The villagers congratulated the farmer. "What amazing good fortune," they said. "Your son is spared." The farmer looked at them, his eyes full of a quiet understanding. He simply repeated, "Maybe so, maybe not." The ancient story of the farmer, the horse, and the windfall is a profound Zen teaching about the nature of good and bad fortune, and our human tendency to label experiences prematurely. It reveals how often we attach judgments of good or bad to events as they unfold, only to find later that these judgments were incomplete or entirely reversed by subsequent circumstances. The Buddha taught, "There is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path." This profound insight suggests that our peace is not found in external conditions being good or bad, but in our internal response to whatever arises. In our modern lives, we are constantly evaluating, labeling, and reacting. A promotion at work seems good, but then it brings unforeseen stress. A missed opportunity seems bad, but it opens the door to something far better. A momentary failure feels devastating, yet it teaches us resilience we desperately needed. We often cling to the good and resist the bad, creating inner turmoil with each swing of life's pendulum. The farmer, however, embodied non-attachment to outcome. His repeated "maybe so, maybe not" was not indifference, but a profound wisdom, a recognition of impermanence and the interconnectedness of all events. Zen practice invites us to cultivate this spaciousness of mind, to observe events without immediately projecting our judgments onto them, to understand that every moment, every experience, is part of a larger, unfolding tapestry, whose full design we cannot yet perceive. This is not to say we don't experience joy or sorrow, but rather that we allow these feelings to arise and pass, without becoming trapped in their narrative. We avoid the rigid labeling that often leads to prolonged suffering. When we can meet life's ups and downs with an open heart, like the farmer, we free ourselves from the emotional roller coaster of attachment to specific outcomes. We become more adaptable, more resilient, and more present to the richness of each moment, regardless of its apparent form. As the Zen master Shunryu Suzuki taught, everything is perfect as it is. The key is to see it this way. This understanding is about trusting the flow of life, even when it seems chaotic or uncertain. It's about knowing that true peace comes not from controlling circumstances, but from gracefully moving with them and releasing our need to define them. Tonight, as you settle into deep, restorative sleep, reflect on a recent event you labeled as good or bad. Can you gently revisit it with the farmer's wisdom? Can you say to yourself, "Maybe so, maybe not," and allow the true nature of that experience to unfold within the quiet of your mind? Rest in the understanding that every experience holds potential, and peace is found in the unburdened acceptance of what is. As your breath deepens and your mind settles, let us now discover wisdom in the most unexpected places and in true acceptance. This is the story of the cracked teacup. In a remote Japanese monastery, a young monk was tasked with serving tea to the master during a special ceremony. He was very nervous, and his hands trembled slightly as he presented the master's favorite teacup, a precious, antique piece. His fingers slipped. The cup fell, and a thin, visible crack appeared along its delicate rim. The young monk was horrified, his face flushed with shame. He feared the master's anger and the disgrace of his clumsiness. The master, however, picked up the cracked teacup. He examined it closely. With serene eyes, he held it gently, turning it in his hands. He looked at the young monk, who stood trembling. Then the master simply smiled and continued the tea ceremony. Using the cracked cup, he poured the tea, the warm liquid flowing right up to the line of the crack. He drank from it with mindfulness and offered it to his guests. The crack, which the monk saw as a flaw, had become part of the cup's story. It was now unique. It was perfectly imperfect. And in that moment, the young monk understood. Perfection was not the absence of cracks, but the acceptance of them and the continued use of what is. The poignant story of the cracked teacup offers profound wisdom for our modern lives. It speaks to our relentless pursuit of perfection and our often harsh judgment of perceived flaws. In today's world, especially with the constant display of idealized images, we are conditioned to believe in flawless existence, a perfect body, a perfect career, a perfect family, a perfect life. And when we or others fall short of these impossible standards, we experience deep shame and disappointment. The Buddha taught, life is suffering, but this suffering arises from attachment to what is impermanent, from craving what is not, and from resisting what is. The cracked teacup illustrates that our perceived flaws, our mistakes, our imperfections are not errors to be hidden or reasons for judgment. They are part of our unique journey. They add character. They tell a story. They make us beautifully and genuinely human. In our modern lives, we might avoid taking risks for fear of making a crack. We might hide our vulnerabilities, believing them to be weaknesses. We might harshly criticize ourselves or others for not meeting an ideal. But true strength and true peace arises from a radical acceptance of ourselves and of life just as it is, cracks and all. Zen practice invites us to see beyond dualities, beyond perfect and imperfect, to recognize the completeness in everything. The Master saw the teacup not as broken, but as changed, still capable of holding tea, still worthy of reverence, perhaps even more so because of its history. This teaching helps us to cultivate self-compassion, to be gentle with our own perceived flaws, and to extend that same compassion to the imperfections of others. As the Zen master Ikkyu taught, if you are true to yourself, you have nothing to fear. To be true to yourself is to embrace your cracks, to understand that they do not diminish your worth, but instead contribute to your unique beauty. Tonight, as you settle into deep, restorative sleep, reflect on any perceived cracks within yourself or in your life that you might be hiding or judging. Can you look at them with the gentle, accepting eyes of the Master? Can you allow them to be part of your unique and perfect story? Rest in the understanding that completeness is found not in being flawless, but in wholeheartedly embracing all that you are. As your senses soften and your awareness expands, let us now discover the surprising lightness found in releasing what we mistakenly believe we carry. This is the story of the weight of the empty bag. A young monk traveled to a distant village, seeking wisdom. He carried only a staff and a small, empty cloth bag. On his journey, he met an old woman who was burdened by a huge, heavy bag filled with various objects. She struggled under its immense weight. The monk feeling compassion, offered to help. He asked, "Old one, what is in your bag that makes it so heavy?" The old woman sighed. "It is full of all my memories," she replied. "My regrets from the past, my worries about the future, the grudges I hold, the expectations I carry." The monk listened patiently. He then pointed to his own small, empty cloth bag. He said, "This bag, though empty, feels light to me. But if I were to fill it with even a single stone, it would become heavy. If I filled it with memories of yesterday's failures or fears of tomorrow's unknowns, it would quickly become unbearable." The old woman looked from her heavy bag to the monk's empty one, and a flicker of understanding dawned in her eyes. She had carried the true weight, not of physical objects, but of her mind's creations, all these years. And in that moment, she began to gently loosen her grip on the straps. The profound story of the weight of the empty bag offers a timeless lesson for our modern lives. It illuminates how much of our suffering is not caused by external circumstances, but by the mental burdens we choose to carry. In today's fast-paced world, our minds are often like that old woman's bag, filled to the brim with past regrets, future anxieties, unprocessed emotions, and countless expectations. We replay conversations. We anticipate problems. We hold on to grievances, all of which, though intangible, create immense mental and emotional weight. The Buddha taught, "Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment." This teaching is about the wisdom of the monk's empty bag. When we cling to what is already gone, or what is not yet here, we fill our minds with heavy, unnecessary baggage. Zen practice invites us to cultivate mindfulness of this subtle mental burden, to notice when our thoughts are dwelling on things that cannot be changed or controlled. In this present moment, when a memory of regret arises, we can observe it, acknowledge it, and then allow it to pass. Like a cloud, when a worry about the future appears, we can gently bring our attention back to our breath, back to the sensations of this very moment. This is not about denying our experiences, but about releasing our clinging to them. It is about realizing that the empty bag of the present is light and spacious when we do not fill it with the echoes of yesterday or the projections of tomorrow. As the Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh taught, the past is gone. The future is not yet here. There is only one moment for you to live, and that is the present moment. To truly live in the present is to walk with an empty bag, unburdened and free. Tonight, as you settle into deep, restorative sleep, reflect on any empty bags you might be carrying. Are you holding on to regrets, worries, or expectations that are weighing you down? Can you visualize gently loosening your grip on these invisible burdens and allowing them to fall away? Rest in the profound lightness that comes from releasing the weight of the past and the future, and simply being present in this moment of pure, unburdened peace. As your mind finds deeper stillness and your spirit quiets, let us now explore the essence of true endeavor and the wisdom of patient transformation. This is the story of the stone grinder and the polished gem. In a mountain village lived a renowned craftsman who specialized in grinding stones into exquisite gems. His work was meticulous and required immense patience. Each day, he would take a rough, ordinary stone and begin to grind it against a larger, coarser rock. Day after day, he worked tirelessly, hour after hour, with quiet dedication. The grinding process was slow and arduous. Dust filled the air, and the stone changed almost imperceptibly with each passing moment. Many apprentices came to him, eager to learn his secret. They would watch for a while, then grow impatient. "Master," they would ask, "when will this stone become a gem? It looks the same as yesterday." The craftsman would simply smile He would continue his work with unwavering focus. One day, after countless hours of patient grinding, a small, hard section of the stone would suddenly give way, and beneath the rough exterior, a brilliant, shining gem would be revealed, its colors vibrant, its facets sparkling. The gem had always been there, hidden within the stone. The grinding had not created it, but merely uncovered its inherent beauty. The beautiful story of the stone grinder and the polished gem offers a profound Zen teaching on the nature of effort, perseverance, and the innate potential that resides within us. It challenges our modern impatience, our desire for instant results, and our frustration when transformation is slow. In today's fast-paced world, we are constantly seeking quick fixes, immediate gratification. We want to achieve goals without the sustained and often mundane effort required. When we embark on paths of self-improvement or personal growth, we often expect to see immediate changes. But true transformation, like the grinding of the stone, is often a slow, deliberate process requiring daily dedication and unwavering patience. The Buddha taught, "Do not overrate what you have received, nor envy others. He who envies others does not obtain peace of mind." This teaching can apply to our spiritual efforts too. We can become frustrated if our meditation does not immediately bring deep calm, or if our attempts at mindfulness do not instantly transform our habits. But the craftsman understood that the gem was always there. His work was not to create, but to reveal. Similarly, in Zen, the ultimate wisdom and our true nature are not something to be acquired, but to be uncovered. The practice, the effort, the daily return to the cushion, or to mindful living, is the gentle grinding that slowly removes the rough layers of delusion and conditioning. This understanding frees us from the pressure of needing to see immediate results. It allows us to trust the process, to find contentment in the effort itself, knowing that true beauty and liberation will inevitably be revealed. As the Zen master Dogen taught, to practice Zen is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be enlightened. by all things, to be enlightened by all things, is to see the gem in every stone, including ourselves. Tonight, as you prepare for deep, restorative sleep, reflect on your own efforts, your own journeys of transformation. Are you impatient with the process? Can you trust that the gem of your true being is already within you, and that patient, consistent effort will gently reveal it? Rest in the quiet power of perseverance, knowing that your journey is already uncovering your inherent brilliance. As your awareness deepens and your breath finds a steady rhythm, let us now consider the essence of what truly matters when facing life's challenges. This is the story of the poisoned arrow. Once, a disciple approached the Buddha, filled with many questions. He asked, "Venerable One, is the world eternal? Or is it not eternal? Is the world finite? Or is it infinite? Is the soul the same as the body? Or is the soul one thing, and the body another? Does the enlightened one exist after death? Or does he not exist after death?" The Buddha listened patiently to all the questions. Then he replied, "It is as if a man were wounded by a poisoned arrow. His friends and relatives would quickly find a surgeon to remove the arrow, but the wounded man would refuse. He would say, 'I will not have this arrow removed until I know who shot me, what their name is, and what clan they belong to. I will not have this arrow removed until I know the caste of the man who shot me, and whether he is tall or short or of middle stature. I will not have this arrow removed until I know the type of bow that was used and the type of arrow that wounded me, and until I know what kind of feathers were on the arrow and what kind of sinew was used to bind them." The Buddha continued, "That man would surely die before any of these questions could be answered. Similarly, these questions you ask are not connected to the goal of leading a holy life. They do not lead to disenchantment, to dispassion, to cessation, to peace, to direct knowledge, to enlightenment, to nirvana. Whether the world is eternal or not eternal, there is still birth, aging, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair. And it is for the sake of the destruction of these that I teach. The parable of the poisoned arrow is one of the Buddha's most direct and profound teachings for our modern human condition. It speaks to our tendency to intellectualize suffering, to get lost in endless questions, and to delay taking action on what is immediately solvable. In today's complex world, we are constantly bombarded with information and opinions. We can spend hours researching every angle of a problem, debating its origins, or theorizing about its ultimate meaning before taking any concrete steps to alleviate immediate suffering. This applies to personal challenges as much as global ones. We might analyze the reasons for our anxiety rather than practicing a simple breath exercise to calm the present moment. We might endlessly discuss the root causes of relationship issues rather than offering a simple, compassionate gesture. The Buddha's wisdom is pragmatic. It prioritizes the cessation of suffering over intellectual curiosity about matters that may be unanswerable or irrelevant to our immediate well-being. If there is a poisoned arrow, the most urgent task is to remove it. In Zen practice, this is about focusing on the present moment, on direct experience, on what is skillful and beneficial right now. It is about recognizing when our minds are caught in unproductive loops of speculation or blame or endless analysis, and gently but firmly bringing attention back to the immediate task of healing. This teaching empowers us. It reminds us that while understanding is valuable, action and presence are often the true keys to liberation. We have the capacity to remove many of our own arrows by addressing the present moment with awareness and compassion. As the Zen master Wang Po taught, If you want to understand, you must learn to let go, not just of things, but of your very concepts. Tonight, as you settle into deep, restorative sleep, reflect on any poisoned arrows you might be carrying. Are you delaying simple acts of self-care or kindness by overthinking or endlessly questioning? Can you allow yourself to gently pull out the arrow by simply being present with what is and taking a step towards immediate relief? Rest in the wisdom of direct action and the profound peace that comes from focusing on what truly matters in this very moment. As your focus deepens and your breath calms, let us now consider the true nature of emptiness and the boundless potential that lies within simple space. This is the story of the missing axe. There once was a man who had lost his axe. He searched everywhere, but could not find it. He suspected his neighbor's son of stealing it. As he watched the boy, he noticed how he walked like a thief. He observed how he looked like a thief. Every gesture, every word spoken by the boy seemed to confirm his suspicion. The boy's face, his eyes, his very demeanor, all seemed to shout, "He is the one." A few days later, the man was digging in his garden, and there, buried beneath a pile of leaves, was his axe. He had simply misplaced it. Later that day, as he saw his neighbor's son again, he observed him closely. The boy walked like any other boy. He looked like any other boy. Every gesture, every word spoken by the boy now seemed innocent. The boy's face, his eyes, his very demeanor, all seemed perfectly normal. His suspicion had vanished, along with the mistaken belief that the axe was stolen. The profound story of the missing axe offers a crystal clear lesson for our modern lives. It illuminates how our preconceptions and our fixed ideas can completely distort our perception of reality. When the man believed the axe was stolen, his mind created a filter. Every observation was interpreted through the lens of suspicion. He saw what he expected to see. He created the reality of a thief where none existed. The Buddha taught, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. This truth is vividly demonstrated here. The man's thoughts, his suspicion, literally created the thief in his neighbor's son. Once the axe was found and the erroneous thought dissolved, his perception returned to clarity. In our daily lives, how often do we lose our axe? A misunderstanding arises with a colleague. A friend is quiet or distant. A plan does not unfold as we wished, and immediately our minds begin to fill the void with assumptions, with judgments, with narratives of blame or fear. We might see laziness or disrespect or deliberate malice where there is simply preoccupation or misunderstanding or an empty boat drifting by. These judgments, these stories we tell ourselves, become the lens through which we see everything. They prevent us from seeing the true nature of situations and the true intentions of others. Zen practice cultivates a mind that is open, empty, and free from preconception. It invites us to observe without immediate judgment, to remain in the space of not knowing until all the facts are clear. This is not easy, as our minds are wired to quickly make sense and categorize. But with gentle awareness, we can pause, we can question our assumptions, and we can allow for the possibility that what we perceive is merely a reflection of our own thoughts. As the Zen master Wang Po taught, when there is no attachment, there is no karma. To have no attachment to our ideas, even ideas about a thief, is to be truly free. Tonight, as you settle into deep, restorative sleep, reflect on any missing axes in your own life, any situations where you may have judged someone or assumed an intention without full clarity. Can you gently release those fixed ideas? Can you allow your mind to become spacious and empty, ready to perceive reality as it truly is, unfiltered by suspicion or expectation? Rest in the clarity that comes from an open mind and experience the peace of seeing things just as they are. As your body relaxes further and your mind clarifies, let us now discover the profound liberation that comes from realizing who you truly are, beyond all labels. This is the story of the student who thought he was a bowl. In a Zen monastery, there was a student who had meditated with such intense focus on the nature of form and emptiness that he became deeply confused. After many years, he began to believe that he was a clay bowl. He would sit perfectly still, rigid and round, afraid to move, fearing that if he shifted even slightly, he would crack or shatter into pieces. The master observed this strange delusion in his student. He tried various methods to awaken him. He would poke him gently with a stick, saying, "The bowl is very hard today." The student would tremble, but remain rigid. The master even tried hitting him with a soft cushion, saying, "This bowl makes a strange sound." One day, the master decided on a different approach. He prepared some tea and approached the student. He gently lifted the student's head as if it were a cup and began to pour the warm tea directly onto his scalp, saying, "The tea is ready." The student, shocked by the sensation and the unexpected action, flung his head back, spilling the tea everywhere. The master exclaimed, "Ah, the bowl is overflowing." The student, startled by his own sudden movement and the unexpected freedom, realized in that very instant that he was not a clay bowl. His delusion shattered, and a great wave of relief washed over him. He was finally free from his own self-imposed prison. The profound story of the student who thought he was a bowl offers a crucial insight for our modern human condition. It vividly illustrates how easily we can become trapped by fixed ideas and limiting beliefs about ourselves. In today's complex society, we often define ourselves by our roles, our achievements, our perceived failures, or even our emotions. I am my job. I am my anxiety. I am a parent. I am not good enough. These labels, while sometimes useful, can become the walls of our mental prisons. We sit rigidly, like the bowl student, afraid to move, afraid to change, for fear of shattering these self-created identities. The Buddha taught, form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. This fundamental teaching of impermanence and no self, Anatman, reveals that our true nature is fluid and boundless, not fixed by any concept. Our true self is like the water, not the bowl. In Zen practice, we learn to observe our thoughts and beliefs without immediately identifying with them. When a thought arises, I am a failure, we can pause and recognize it as just a thought, not an inherent truth about our being. The Master's radical act of pouring tea forced the student to break free from his delusion. Similarly, life's challenges or unexpected moments can sometimes jolt us out of our own fixed ideas. They can be the Master's teapot, reminding us that we are not the roles or the stories we have assumed. This wisdom invites us to question our own labels, our own rigid definitions of who we are. It encourages us to step into the spaciousness of not knowing and to experience the freedom of our ever-changing and unbound nature. As the Zen master, Dogen taught, to study the Buddha way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be actualized by the myriad things. Tonight, as you settle into deep, restorative sleep, reflect on any beliefs you hold about yourself that might be limiting. Are you sitting rigidly in a self-created bowl of who you think you are? Can you allow the flow of your breath to gently dissolve these fixed forms? Rest in the profound freedom of knowing that you are far more vast and expansive than any label you could ever create. As you rest in this quiet space, let us now consider the elusive nature of perfection and the unexpected beauty found in simple surrender. This is the story of the Zen master and the rock garden. In a tranquil monastery, a young monk was diligently working on the rock garden. He spent hours arranging the stones, raking the gravel, striving for absolute perfection in every detail. He moved one small rock an inch to the left, then an inch to the right, never quite satisfied with its placement. The master, a wise old man, watched him silently. The monk, growing frustrated with the last remaining rock, sighed deeply. He felt he could not achieve the perfect balance. He tried again and again, but the rock seemed wrong wherever he placed it. Finally, the master approached. He gently placed his hand on the monk's shoulder. He said, "Stop." The monk looked up, weary and discouraged. "Master," he said, "I cannot make it perfect." The master smiled softly. As he spoke, a single withered autumn leaf drifted down from a nearby tree. It landed gently and perfectly on the rock the monk had been struggling with. The master pointed to the leaf. He said, "Now it is perfect." The monk gazed at the leaf, resting so naturally on the stone. And in that moment, he understood. True perfection was not something to be forced or meticulously created by his own will. It was found in allowing the natural unfolding of life itself. The beautiful story of the Zen master and the rock garden offers a profound teaching for our modern lives. It challenges our pervasive need for absolute control and our often unrealistic pursuit of a flawless existence. In today's world, we are often driven by the desire for perfection. We edit our photos. We curate our online personas. We meticulously plan our lives, believing that if we just arrange every detail just so, we will find lasting peace or happiness. But this relentless striving for an unattainable ideal often leads only to frustration and exhaustion. We become like the monk, endlessly moving the rock, never satisfied. The Buddha taught, nothing is permanent. Everything is subject to change. This profound truth reminds us that life, in its very essence, is an unfolding process, not a static, perfect picture. When we resist this impermanence, when we cling to fixed notions of how things should be, we create our own suffering. The Master's simple act of allowing the leaf to fall was an act of profound wisdom. It was a demonstration of surrendering control and trusting the natural flow of existence. In Zen practice, we learn to embrace the perfection of the present moment, just as it is. We learn to let go of our need to manipulate or force outcomes. We cultivate a mind that is open and receptive to the natural beauty and inherent wisdom of life's spontaneous unfolding. This is not about being passive or abandoning effort. The monk's initial effort was necessary, but it is about recognizing when effort becomes attachment, when striving becomes suffering. It is about finding the balance between diligent work and the graceful art of letting go. As the Zen master Shunryu Suzuki taught, in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. To truly be an expert is to see perfection in the falling leaf and in the unfinished garden. Tonight, as you settle into deep, restorative sleep, reflect on any areas in your life where you might be trying too hard to control or to perfect. Can you allow yourself to gently release that tight grip? Can you trust that life, in its own unfolding, is already perfectly as it needs to be? Rest in the peace that comes from surrender and the quiet understanding that true beauty is already present. As your body yields to rest and your mind finds its quiet center, let us now discover where true riches lie beyond all worldly possessions. This is the story of the monk and the king's treasure. In a vast kingdom, a mighty king, known for his immense wealth and his restless spirit, heard tales of a humble monk. This monk lived simply in a small hut, possessing almost nothing Yet he was said to be the happiest man in the land. The king, curious and plagued by his own discontent, decided to visit the monk. He arrived with his grand entourage and spoke to the monk. "Master, I am rich beyond measure, yet I seek your secret. What hidden treasure do you possess that grants you such peace?" The monk, with a serene smile, invited the king to sit. He offered him a simple cup of water from a nearby spring. The king drank, still searching for a material answer. The monk then gestured to the setting sun, painting the sky with hues of gold and crimson. He pointed to the gentle breeze, rustling the leaves, and the quiet chirping of crickets as twilight deepened. "This," he said softly, "is my treasure." The king looked around, confused. "These are common things," he replied. "They are everywhere. They cannot be your secret." The monk nodded gently. "Indeed," he said, "they are everywhere, and they are priceless. They cannot be bought, or sold, or stolen. They are available to all who have eyes to see and a heart to receive. My true treasure is not in what I own, but in my freedom from needing to own. It is in the simple presence of each moment." The king, for the first time, felt a profound stillness descend upon him. He realized that all his vast riches had never brought him the contentment he witnessed in the monk's humble life. And in that quiet moment, he understood the monk's true treasure was peace itself. The profound story of the monk and the king's treasure offers a timeless lesson for our modern lives. It challenges our society's pervasive belief that happiness and fulfillment are found in external accumulation. In today's world, we are constantly driven by the pursuit of more money, more possessions, more achievements, more status. We often believe that if we just acquire one more thing or reach one more milestone, then, finally, we will be content. But like the king, we often find that these external gains do not bring the lasting peace we truly crave. They often bring more worries, more desires, and a continuous sense of not enough. The Buddha taught, health is the greatest gift, contentment the greatest wealth, faithfulness the best relationship. This teaching reveals that true abundance is an internal state. It is a profound appreciation for what is, rather than a constant longing for what is not. The monk's treasure was not hidden in a vault, but openly displayed in the simple beauty of the present moment. In Zen practice, we cultivate mindfulness of this inherent richness. We learn to pause, to truly see the setting sun, to hear the gentle breeze, to taste the simple cup of water. We train ourselves to be present to the ordinary miracles that surround us each and every day. This practice shifts our focus from grasping to appreciating, from striving to being. It frees us from the endless cycle of desire and the suffering it often brings. As the Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh taught, there is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way. To embody this is to realize that peace is not a distant destination, but the very ground upon which we stand in this moment. Tonight, as you settle into deep, restorative sleep, reflect on your own sense of wealth. Are you constantly chasing external gains, believing they will bring true happiness? Can you pause and simply notice the priceless treasures that are available to you right here, right now? Rest in the profound understanding that true abundance is found not in what you acquire, but in what you perceive and appreciate. As your body yields to peace and your mind stills, let us now discover the true nature of emptiness and the liberation found in allowing things to simply be. This is the story of the sound of silence. A young monk, eager for enlightenment, approached his Zen master. "Master," he pleaded, "I long for profound peace. How can I quiet my mind and truly hear the great silence?" The master A man of few words simply gestured towards the world outside the monastery walls. "Listen," he said. The monk closed his eyes and listened intently. He heard the chirping of crickets, the distant call of a bird, the rustling of leaves in the gentle breeze. He listened for the silence between the sounds. He strained his ears to catch any hint of that profound stillness. He tried to force his mind to stop its internal chatter so that he could truly perceive the great silence. After a long while, he opened his eyes and sighed in frustration. "Master," he said, "I hear only sounds. I cannot find the silence you speak of." The master smiled gently. He picked up a small pebble and tossed it into a nearby pond. Plink went the pebble. Then the master asked, "Did you hear it?" The monk nodded. Then the master asked, "And did you hear the silence that allowed you to hear it?" In that moment, the monk's mind cleared. He realized that silence was not the absence of sound, but the very space that allowed sound to be heard. It was the fundamental ground of all experience. He no longer needed to strain or force. Silence was already present. The beautiful story of the sounds of silence offers a profound Zen teaching for our modern lives. It challenges our often mistaken belief that peace is found in the absence of external noise or internal thoughts. In today's overstimulated world, we often crave quiet. We seek to escape the constant clamor of our environments and our minds. We try to force our thoughts to stop, believing that only then can we find true peace or stillness. But like the monk, we often discover that this forcing only creates more tension and more frustration. The Buddha taught, "Do not seek and do not cling." This teaching applies to our quest for quiet, just as it applies to anything else. When we grasp its silence, we miss its true nature. The Master's wisdom reveals that silence is not an entity to be found or created. It is the ever-present spaciousness that underlies all phenomena. The space between the notes is just as essential as the notes themselves. In Zen practice, we learn to listen, not just to sounds, but to the silence that allows sounds to appear. We learn to observe our thoughts as they arise and pass without trying to eliminate them. And in that very observation, the spaciousness of mind is revealed. This understanding frees us from the need to control our experience. It allows us to rest in the inherent peace that is always available, regardless of external conditions or internal chatter. Peace is not a destination where all noise ceases. It is the quiet ground from which all experience arises and to which it returns. As the Zen master Dogen taught, enlightenment is like the moon, reflected in water. The moon does not get wet, nor is the water broken. Silence is like the water. It is always there, holding all sounds, without being disturbed. Tonight, as you settle into deep, restorative sleep, reflect on any noise, external or internal, that might be disturbing you. Can you listen, not just to the sounds, but to the silence that allows them to exist? Can you rest in that fundamental space, knowing that true peace is not the absence of anything, but the boundless presence of everything? As our journey through these timeless Zen tales gently concludes for now, you may feel a profound stillness settling within your being. You have traversed paths of wisdom, encountered insights into acceptance, and embraced the liberating power of understanding your true nature. Remember the profound lessons woven into each story. The farmer's wisdom to see beyond good and bad. The teacup's beauty in its perfect imperfections. The empty bag's lightness when releasing burdens. The craftsman's patience in revealing the gem within. The poisoned arrow's call to focus on immediate healing, and the silence's presence in allowing all sound to be. The Buddha taught, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. This truth is not a concept to be grasped, but a lived experience, a profound knowing that resides within you, always accessible, always present. You are already the ocean of mind, vast, calm, and boundless. Now, there is nothing more to do, nothing more to seek, nothing more to understand. Simply surrender to the gentle current of this moment. Feel the soft weight of your body, the rhythmic rise and fall of your breath. Allow all remaining thoughts to drift away like distant clouds in an endless sky. Let go of every concern, every expectation, every last bit of tension. You are safe. You are at peace. You are deeply loved. Drift now into the profound depths of restorative sleep. May your dreams be filled with peace, and your awakening be refreshed and renewed.